I'm Carrie Peters, a recognized thought leader in the Microsoft Dynamics community and a Microsoft MVP for business applications. Welcome to the Get Your New View podcast. Keep listening to learn how we work with frustrated business, central, and NAV users who struggle to use their systems and find the answers that they need. We teach them to truly understand how the system can support their business processes to make immediate and lasting improvements. As a result, they get more done in less time, make better business decisions, and even love their system. In this next season of the Get Your New View podcast, I'd like you to meet Kim Congleton. Kim and I are the co-owners of New View Strategies, and this season, we'll be talking with you all about change management and cheese. Hey everybody, it's Kim and Carrie. We're back talking about change management and cheese. And in this episode, we're going to talk about getting creative with change. One of the questions that we have related to getting creative with change is, does cheese really not go with fish? So this is some culinary rule or myth or something, right, where cheese is not supposed to go with fish. And I am definitely going to say that it does. Kim? Yes or no? Yeah, it does.
In one case. One case.
All right. We'll hold the reasons for the end, but we'll talk about why we think cheese really does go with fish as we talk about how we can get creative with change. So Kim gives a great illustration about change and how we think differently about change. So I want to do that first, and then we'll talk about some of the things that you could do on your own.
Yeah. So usually in the kickoff meeting for a project, I like to do, I have like two exercises that I usually do. One of them is, okay, just fold your arms. Like, cross your arms like you normally would cross your arms. And, you notice you kind of do it the same way each time, right? You just unconsciously, you'll cross your arms a certain way. So now do the opposite. Cross your arms the opposite way. And it's, see, it's like, it feels weird. You have to think about it. It feels awkward. And so that's the illustration, right? But the more you do it, the more it will get to feel comfortable. The other one I like to do is sign your name. So sign your name with your good, how you would normally sign your name. If you're right-handed, sign it with your right hand.
Okay.
And then then change and do it with your left hand.
Oh dear.
I know. I had to do this once because I had a cast on my other hand. It did not end well for me. And sign it usually you make them do it about 3 or 4 times. And then it kind of sometimes it gets easier, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, here's my result. That's not so good.
Yeah, mine's just as bad.
You practice some though. That's good.
There's always certain letters I hit, but those are two of the ones I like to use. I mean, there's a million of them out there. You can search, online and you're going to find a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
But I think the point is find something that kind of is different outside the norm to do with them as part of each meeting. So it kind of reinforces that, hey, it's going to feel awkward. It's going to feel different. It's going to take a while, but you're going to get used to it.
Yeah. No, I love how that illustrates the awkwardness of change and what happens with that and how we get creative. So we were talking about this particular concept and thinking differently. And I love one of the things that you said, that projects aren't about PowerPoint presentations and meetings. What? Everybody does PowerPoint presentations and meetings, right? So if we're not doing PowerPoint presentations and meetings with our projects, what else are we doing?
Well, and I think it's make it fun. Think a little bit differently about how you can do some of that. Some of the meetings we've had where, especially a warehouse implementation project, we'll go out on the floor and meet on the floor and walk through the process. And we'll talk through the issues on the floor, or we'll, create I like to call it a war room. There's probably a different name that most people like to call it, but it really is where you're kind of able to test things and try things out. And especially in the warehouse, I like to make sure that there's an area where you've got either out on the floor or in a conference room where you kind of set up the layout. So you've got barcodes for like the locations and you've got pretend items and they can actually go and scan it. We're not walking through that in a PowerPoint. We're talking through that maybe in a room or out on the floor or something like that. So, making sure that it's something different and put a little fun in it.
Yep. I know that one of the things that we do with our training is we play games. So, right, it gets a little silly sometimes, but it helps people to be able to retain what they've learned.
Yeah.
And it never hurts to insert a little bit of competition into that kind of thing, right? So a lot of our, adults are competitive people, and even if they aren't, they like to have fun. So we have a lot of quizzes with our training to reinforce things, but we always have prizes, and we have goofy little things. I've got gold stars that we give out, and medals and trophies and that kind of thing. And I have to laugh because we've done this for a long time, and of course we revisit those customers periodically. And when we get a chance to go see them in their offices, we'll often see those trophies and gold stars and things still out there as a reminder of the success they had with their training. So getting creative and getting a little silly about that kind of stuff really makes a difference. And I really like just being able to think differently as well. I can think of an example of something that was really impactful with a customer recently, and we do it all the time, but I didn't think about the impact until somebody brought it to my attention. We were doing some training, and we were having people in other departments sit in on some of the other departments' training so that they could see the connections, right? They could understand what it was that was happening in the sales process before it came to the ordering process, before it came to shipping, before it went to accounting, and what happened when it went out the door to accounts receivable. Right. So we had people in all of those different areas involved in some level of training. So even though it wasn't something they were going to do, just almost everybody who was involved with that commented about how learning how their job affected other people changed their opinion about what needed to be done throughout the company.
Well, and I think that's really a key thing. And I love to do that with user acceptance training. Mm-hmm. So like starting at the beginning of the process where, okay, you've got to order product. So you kind of have a representative from purchasing in the room, you have somebody from finance, you have somebody from sales, somebody from the warehouse, and each group has to go through and do their part so that they can hand off to the next group. Yeah. And I think to your point, they all kind of get a feel then. They're like, oh man, I didn't realize they had to, like, purchasing did all that stuff. Yeah. I mean, you'll kind of hear the comments, right? Like the warehousing guys will be like, wow, I didn't realize you did all that stuff up front. Yeah. And they're like, oh yeah, we thought that would be easier for you. Yeah. Or, the sales guys are like, oh man, I'm sorry. I didn't realize if I just did this one other thing, that would make that easier for you. I didn't realize that you guys had to do all this, and I could actually help you by doing this one thing. So yeah. It is really important too, as part of that project, for them all to see each part of it.
Yeah, no, I love that kind of goes back to the concept of empathy, right? Going back to soft skills, right? It's all about people and change management, and having that development of empathy is certainly a different way of thinking about process, right? And you can't get that on a PowerPoint slide.
No, not at all.
So, how does it help for us to reach out to outside resources to help us to think creative? What's the big benefit there?
I think, it's just there's so many different perspectives on other people that have run projects successfully. Mm-hmm. And, especially in this day and age, there's all kinds of blogs about, hey, this is what worked for us. And I think it is important to kind of, figure out how you can do things a little differently. Like, I think, you kind of said it earlier on in the podcast, one of the things we bring to the table is that we've seen so many different things. And then we can kind of bring that and say, hey, we had this one client, they did this. Mm-hmm. And, this might be a fun thing for you to do in this case, in this scenario, for part of this meeting for change management. But I think it's just important to get a different perspective, and to get new ideas. And I think there's just so much. You'd be surprised when you Google it, like how many change management activities, different ones you can do with a group.
Yeah.
And some of them are really fun, and some of them, like, people really get into it.
Mhm.
Um, you know,
It's a welcome change from all of the regular work we all do too, right? To get a chance
yeah,
to just think differently about something. I
yeah,
know that you and I have a coach, right, for our business, and one of the things that she does when she coaches us is she always encourages us to think bigger, right?
yeah,
So we
yeah,
think pretty big to begin with, but she encourages us to think bigger on top of that, and that
yeah,
keeps us challenged in making sure that we're thinking differently for the benefit of our company and for our customers.
yeah, yeah.
All right, so here's your assignment. Go back to the exercise, right? Try crossing your arms one way, try doing it the other way. I still can't really do it. I need more practice, right? But how
Yeah,
did it make you feel? If it made you feel uncomfortable, then that means you're normal.
yeah,
But it also means that you're able to think differently. And you can do this with your other stuff. So think about what those outside influences are, what those resources are that might help you to think creatively so that you can make a change with that. All right, so we have to go back to our very important discussion then. Does cheese really not go with fish? So the example I can think of where I see this all the time is Parmesan cheese, right? You can put Parmesan
sure.
cheese on anything. Like we talked about putting on pizza in another episode. What can you
Yep.
think of, Kim?
I want to say that obviously one of my favorite places to go is New Orleans.
Mhm.
I want to say at Acme Oyster House, don't they put Parmesan on the grilled oysters?
They
Yeah.
absolutely do. Yeah.
And I will say that is like that is the one exception that I will give for
Yeah.
cheese on fish. And the other one I will give is lobster thermidor. I
Ooh,
mean, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Delicious. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely delicious. All right. Well, I can think of a couple of other combinations, but I'm so happy with the thought of oysters and lobsters at the end of our episode. I
yeah,
absolutely think we need to stop there. All right.
yeah.
So we don't have any fish and cheese to eat this time, but we'll see you next time for our episode on moving beyond cheddar to more adventurous choices. How do you get even further outside of your comfort zone? We'll see you in the next episode. I'm Carrie Peters. Thank you for tuning in to the Get Your New View podcast. For more episodes like this on YouTube, click the subscribe button and ring the bell to ensure that you get notified whenever new content comes out. If you're listening to the audio podcast, please share an honest review on Apple Podcasts. If you are ready to rethink today for tomorrow, look for the link below and contact us to speak with our expert team. You won't find the level of no-nonsense real-world experience we offer anywhere else, and we're here to put that experience to work for you. Do you think you could use more features of your software if you just knew how? Are you frustrated with inefficiency that never seems to get better? Did your team ever really get good training to understand how to use your business software? Do you suspect there just has to be a better way and you don't know what it is? We believe every company can benefit from increased efficiency and higher utilization of their software, and that it's possible to have fun while learning exactly how to do that. The experts at NewView Strategies work with frustrated Business Central and NAV users who struggle to use their system and find the answers they need. We teach them to truly understand how the system can support their business processes to make immediate and lasting improvements. As a result, they get more done in less time, make better business decisions, and even love their system. Please contact us at getyournewview.com to get started.